Oh, she might not be, but I know they get that wall. But she was cool with being on camera, but I thought she didn't want to be on camera. You know, like Becky would say, I don't want to be on camera.
Yeah. How is Becky doing?
She invited me to something. Hey. Welcome. I have some exciting news. Stay with us for just a few more seconds. I'm going to tell you something exciting that involves you too.
You sure you want to sit over here, Auntie? You sure you want to sit over here? Now you got to scare.
I thought I just naturally assumed when I should have asked. That's on me.
But you got to say hi to your people in Detroit.
Why is it going backwards?
What's going on?
Why is it going backwards? Why is it, see, you gonna say HBCU, say it backwards.
Is it button? Whoa.
I know what's happening now.
Backwards.
Hold on, we're having technical difficulties. Change my settings. Guess what? We got nominated for something. You might already know. Is it still going backwards? I don't have to say nothing. Log in. Let's just go. We'll just not worry about it.
That's the craziest one.
Just go live because we late.
Yeah.
We'll worry about it tomorrow.
What is it? What's happening?
It won't let us type in. It's typing backwards.
Oh.
So I'm gonna tell them, say, Facebook is at it again. Now they're not cutting me out. They just making me type backwards. They at it again. They always trying to stop us. I've never seen. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Never seen it do that before. Okay. He fixed it. All right.
I don't know what that was.
You ready for the drop? I'm gonna go live as soon as you do the drop.
You ready?
Yep.
We'll do it at the same time. You ready?
Go.
2.
Okay.
That's why I don't wear tops like this. Look how huge my boobs look.
Well, you might get us some extra people.
Oh yeah, I look like a double F.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What's going on?
They can hear you.
Oh.
You're on in 3, 2.
Hey. This is Coy with your Black Tea Sip, and we have some very exciting news to share with you. Angela's gonna get me fixed up here, my engineer extraordinaire, and feedback from my phone. We've got a lot to talk about today, but the first thing that I want to say is we've had an extraordinary opportunity presented to us, and you can help us achieve. You want to know what that is? I'm gonna tell you. We have been nominated for best, and I'm saying we. You know, they'll say, well, why aren't you saying I? We have been nominated for best female host, for the Black Tea Sip, simply because this show is only possible because of you. And this show is only made possible because people like you are paying attention, that you're listening, that you give us credence and credit, and you make it possible for me to be unapologetically Black and to share the good news. And sometimes the good news is not always happy news. Sometimes the good news is just news you can use. And so today we're going to do a little bit of that. I've got my sister from another mister, Shanika Polk, who's in the house today. I thought it would be a good day for us to have a conversation about HBCU Experience. So as you can
Hey,
see,
everybody. I'll take credit for some of that, because sidekick extraordinaire here. Y'all see me here on the regular. So I just want to say, hey, I want to give a special shout out to my family visiting from Detroit. One of my favorite people in the whole wide world is here with me today, my Aunt Linda. Say hi. She's waving.
She's waving.
shy. We're on the radio. They can't see you. Say hey, Aunt Linda. Look in the camera. Hey, everybody. There you go. Okay.
Hey,
all right.
family.
They see you.
Thank
you for letting me do
from
that.
Little D, because she's in Big D now. Because they have had they've had absolutely no TV shows. They hardly ever mentioned in a rap song. And so with that being said, Lil D is here visiting in Big D, and we're happy to have her. We are absolutely happy to have her. So listen, we got a lot to talk about. I wasn't here for Labor Day. Some of y'all reached out to me and said, look here, sometimes giving y'all all this tea is a little bit exhausting. So I took the day off, hung out Friday with my boys. They're playing football now. I didn't know I was going to turn into a football mom. We play for a team that has the influence of Deion Sanders. He is the offensive coordinator. His son played. We just played yesterday. Our varsity team played yesterday on ESPN2. The JV team that my son plays on, we just blew out A.W. Brown 36-0. It was a complete shutout. So I had to do mom duty, and so I'm back with you. So I hope you didn't labor too much on Labor Day. I bet y'all didn't know this. You know, I like to give y'all a little something periodically. I bet y'all did not know that while we are up here talking about all of the things that go on, the men and the Me Too movement and all that. Look here, dragonflies. They having a hard time. Dragonflies, the females, after they lay eggs one time, baby, they all over the men. They could not care less. And so when the men come to pounce on them, I'm saying men, but really male dragonflies, they come to pounce on them, they play dead.
Oh.
And 60% of the time it works. Who knew that they had the game all figured out? So the dragonflies, the female dragonflies.
You gonna try that?
They and so it has been observed. And so what happened was the scientists would notice these dead dragonflies laying all around, but then when they approached them, the dragonflies would fly off. So look, they got the game completely figured out. The only other, there's like 5 or 6 different species that have this possum-like, dead-like technique. But they said the male wolf spider, they do that so they won't be eaten after mating. So they got the game all figured out. Some of y'all might want to try that.
Failing in these streets again.
Some of those that failing in the streets. Airports. Let me say this to y'all about airports. You know, we're in the era of Trump, the orangutan that runs the 3-ring circus from the Oval Office, has gotten people to believe that it is acceptable and appropriate to just walk up to people and start talking anyway. Now, no one said to me that this was a Caucasian individual, the Caucasian of it all, talking to someone that was Black. No one has said that to me, but you know how I hear it in my mind, Shanika. So in Newark, New Jersey, a very busy airport, a Alaskan Airlines flight attendant walks up on 2 men talking and starts to ask them a series of bizarre questions.
Okay.
Well, she thought it was going to go one way. It went a whole nother. And so because she didn't get the the responses, as I heard in my head, that she thought she should get, she then pushed the panic button, had 200 people running out the terminal in sheer panic, thinking it was some kind of shooter or something. All because she didn't get what she wanted. So the men were detained. They were ultimately released, no charges filed. I have not been able to ascertain whether or not the charges have been filed against the flight attendant, but she was detained. Okay. This MAGA thing has gone to a whole nother level because people honestly believe they can walk up to you and talk to you any kind of way. And so, look, all I'm gonna say is we're not our grandparents. Well, here's the other thing. You know how, as Black folks, you know how something happens in the United States, and we say, "Lord, I hope they weren't Black." You know,
yes,
that happens,
like
right?
Serial killers.
So, in Miami, American Airlines, the mechanic there, aviation mechanic, sabotaged the plane because he was upset about the stalled union contract. His name is Abdul Majid Ahmed Alani. I wonder if the Islamic community just throws their hands up and says, as if we don't have enough drama, because he sabotaged the navigation system, which would have affected 150 people because he was upset about the
labor
contract.
Dispute?
Yes.
Oh no.
So you know what? If the plane is hot, if it seems to be taking a long time to leave, they will the stewards will tell you, well, just a moment. You have the right to tell them to let you off the plane. You have the right to tell them to let you off the plane. Now we're in the age of Trump, so it very easily could be that you have met with some air marshals. You just tell them I'm uncomfortable. I didn't feel comfortable about the plane, and that's okay to have that conversation. But they out here sabotaging planes. So I thought you should know that. Speaking of navigation system, we always give a Black Excellence Award. We have Dr. Gladys West, Black woman, invented the GPS navigation technology. And I think that those are the things that we don't hear about very readily. I think that Facebook and Twitter has done a very good job of trying to, and Instagram, I don't want to leave Mark's other company out, Mark and them. Shout out to Mark and them who messed up my, that's why we were a little bit late today. Everything I typed was coming in backwards. Shout out to Mark Zuckerberg and the crew and them for always trying to shut down this tea. Can't stop this fool. So Dr. Gladys invented the GPS system, the same GPS navigation system that Abdul tried to sabotage. But we've also got Ramona Smith. Ramona Smith beat out 30,000 people in spelling bee. World champion. Cute little girl
to her.
Yes. We've got Ashley Roseanne Peterson, the youngest doctor of osteopathic medicine in the history of doctoring. Young Black woman. So D.O. I think it's 26. Okay. D.O. So if you don't know, you have medical doctors and you have MDs and DOs. So a doctor that studies osteopathic medicine really looks at Western and Eastern medicine. So I made sure my parents have a DO. Shout out to Dr. Perry. She actually also studied in China. What that does is they bring a holistic mentality to doctoring, and they usually try to treat the root cause, not just treat the symptoms. And so that's not a slight to medical doctors, but DOs tend to look at the whole person, not just that particular issue. And I cannot talk about Black excellence without talking about Naomi Osaka and Coco Gauff, tennis champions. We want to specifically say that I think Serena and Venus have set the standard and told people that look like us, who are living not just a Black experience, an African American experience. I think that's vastly different. Osaka seems to be able to understand what that's like to be biracial and to live the African American experience. And so she invited Coco Gauff to do the post interview after she won the match. She was gracious, she was humble. I think that speaks a lot to the character.
Love it.
But it has to do with the way that Venus and Serena have engaged the world in their championships. And so I think that it's also, we got to give a shout out to Daddy, because Daddy Williams used to pay the kids in Compton to come and yell racial slurs at them because he knew what his children were walking into, to teach them to demonstrate the grace and the humility that true champions exhibit, that now we see the younger generation exhibiting. So when we talk about Black excellence, I could go on, but I do want to award this week to, I think it should go to Ramona Smith. 30,000 people, she beat him out. And so we want to acknowledge the things that go on. But 30,000 people saying I'm the best speller when we invented language, I think should go to Sister Ramona, young Black girl. Look, now I want to say this because when I do these Dildo of the Day awards, y'all seem to say I leave Trump out. Trump has a platinum standing Dildo of the Day award. We'll talk about him in a few minutes. But Jair, and it's Jair. So I don't speak Portuguese, so I'm not quite sure at the pronunciation. Bolsonaro. He is praising those people that are committing genocide of the indigenous people in the Amazon. Denver City jailers. Diana Sanchez delivered her baby alone in her jail cell.
I saw that.
Because for 7 hours they left her alone.
Yeah, and then came in and took the baby right after.
And when the EMT came in, he looked like he was astonished.
Yeah.
Because see, what they thought would happen is she would die.
Yeah, she labored all by herself.
That delivered her own child.
And they immediately changed the rules and regulations behind that. That's what they said anyway.
You know, they have these protocols that have to be changed. I want to know why. It's almost like all of these jailers, they all go to the TSA school of thought. They're all too dumb to have common sense. Now, my granddaddy said common sense is not that common. However, you know, and it doesn't knock on everybody's door. I get that. Woman having baby, call ambulance.
She called. She was screaming. She was trying to get everybody's attention. So yeah, I mean, deliberately.
But in that vein, you don't change protocols, you fire. There's no policy change. You fire. Because they're too dumb to know what to do.
Can you imagine the germs, the despicableness that was in that cell? And all she had, to my understanding, was like a bed sheet or something. It was just really.
It didn't seem like really she just had that vinyl thin. It was horrible.
Tragic.
And they'll pay her and her child.
And they
through this horrible experience. Her child will go to private school. Raleigh, North Carolina, Kazim Oyenian. I think is how you pronounce his name. I don't speak the African dialect, but here I do speak this. They call him Tim Boss, and he's Tim Boss because he's a concert promoter and a nightclub owner. Was in his townhome. Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina police decided they would handcuff him in his drawers because he wasn't supposed to be in the house when he told them burglar alarm system went off. He's in his underwear. No one else is there. You asked for ID. No, they immediately cuffed him. So, you know, we got a lot to choose from. I actually think that the Dildo of the Day award goes to all the jails that let that woman, Diana Sanchez, and her child be delivered without any help or support. So, listen, we have an HBCU college fair, Omega Alpha Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Having a college fair. Shout out to Theta Theta. That's how we used to get down. And we're having a college fair in Little Elm. I'll post everything on the site. Listen, if you're in the Metroplex, go out there. It's a great time. You get to actually mix and mingle with people that actually went to those schools and their representatives. It's from 10 to 12, and I'll post the location. But if you have someone that's interested in schools, we should not forget our HBCUs. And I want you to consider very seriously of having that HBCU experience. We're going to talk about that today at the 12 o'clock hour. I am wearing my Paul Quinn alumni shirt. And I want to talk about the experience of going to an HBCU. And then I want to talk about what it's like to be an alumni when you see that experience drifting away. I should say being systematically chiseled, but then that would sound like I'm bitter. Also, the Alliance for a Brighter Community is having a golf tournament on September 21st at West Chase Golf Course in McKinney, Texas. Shotgun time is at 8:30. There are sponsorships available, but what we're asking people to do is to come out and golf with us. It's for a really good cause. We give scholarships to young people particularly African American youth that are not necessarily represented in golf, so golf scholars is what we try to do and represent them. We've got some junior high kids that are going to play. We've got some high school kids that are going to play. We've got some grown folks that are going to play, and we'd love to see you in the place. You can contact Alliance for a Brighter Community, and I'll post all of that on the page if you are interested. I want y'all to stay with me today. We're going to talk about some good stuff. We're going to talk about Hurricane Dorian. We're praying for the Bahamas. We're praying for those that are in the line of the proverbial fire, if you will. North Carolina. We're going to talk about Trump. And we're going to talk about the new Texas laws. We're going to talk about Kevin Hart. We're going to talk about Malik Yoba. This is Corey with the Black Tea Sip, your nominee for the best female host. Y'all go to fbrn.us and vote for yours truly. Also, I want to give a special shout out to Simply Adore, who has come on as a sponsor of this show. It is a phenomenal product. It's an organic sugar scrub and body butter. I've got my guy using it because he has these little dry patches. I said, you're going to get eczema. And so I've got him using it. And guess what? He is not going to have eczema because he uses the product. You know, it's one of those things you use it on your face, it gets in your mouth, you can eat it. It's all natural. It's handmade. Teresa Patan is the founder, the owner. She says we spread love. It's not just body butter, it's actually love. It's not just sugar scrub. It is love on your skin. It does love your skin. You feel good. So Simply Adore, ARDOR, is a sponsor of this show now. All right, this is called the Black Tea Sip. I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be right back. Facebook people, you may not be able to hear us. Doesn't mean we've gone anywhere. Facebook keeps trying to stop this sip. We won't let it happen. No music. Go to YouTube and you can hear everything we say, or you can log in to fishbowlradio.com and you can listen in on the great channel. This is the Black Tea Sip.
What's that?
It's not giving me enough groups. Facebook really be doing enough on me. You just tell the world I have dry spots.
You know he'd be listening.
He does. He's my biggest trigger. Look, it won't let me see my shirt to a group. Look, there's no group present. I can't share. Shanika, can you share?
I'm trying to.
Facebook be trying to get me. Facebook tries to get me. Look. Let's see if I can type now. Will's typing backwards. Now I'm gonna tap lock it. Can you share? Will it let you?
Me? Yeah. I did a watch party.
It won't let me do it. No watch party, no nothing. Just let me show you.
What's it?
Let me go in my favorite. Do my
There you go.
Hold on. You see my poster?
3, 2.
All right. You know, I like that. You know, Matthew McConaughey did that in that movie. I used to like Matthew McConaughey before somebody pointed out to me that he has T-Rex arms, and then he lost all of his mystique. You know, it's almost like you know, the Nutty Professor. You know, with Dr. Clump's grandmother. You know, only white man ever made me moist. So it was one of them. But then somebody told me he had T-Rex arms, and I saw it, and then I was like, ooh. And he kind of lost the mystique. But I don't think he really has T-Rex arms. I think it's because he runs. Well, those of you that are, you know, familiar will understand the term. He runs flicked. And so, you know, it's taken from afflicted. And so he looks weird. Anyway,
Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah, he's got T-Rex arms. So anyway, ladies and gents, I talked about Hurricane Dorian, and I want to talk about the orangutan running the through ring circus. Did y'all see where he said that Alabama was in the way? You know, Alabamians are staunch supporters of his. And so they were like, oh my God, we're not going to listen to the Weather Channel. We're going to listen to this orangutan and we're going to run for cover. You know, it was like a whole duck and cover kind of thing. When they were not in the wake, they were not in the line of the fire. And so because he was wrong, he then decided he would have a visual aid. And so where the National Weather Channel had it drawn, he drew with a Sharpie. Because his Sharpie, because it was, you know what, it was a presidential Sharpie. And so he drew with a Sharpie to extend into Alabama, exactly, so that he could be right. Yeah, that happened. And so, you know, you have to ask yourself, really? Like, all right. So again, he gets the Platinum Dildo of the Day award every single time. It's beyond my understanding at this point. We have a lot going on in the world. We've got mass shootings. We've got all kinds of things happening, and he is worried about a Sharpie.
And he was golfing, wasn't he, during the hurricane?
Well, he's not going to go to Poland and meet up with his boyfriend because he does have a man crush on Putin. So he's not going to do that because of Dorian. But mainly because he thought he was going to hit Alabama. I don't think he thought he should stay here because of North Carolina or possibly New York, but just because of Alabama. So speaking of hurricanes, we are praying for all of those that are in the line. But I want to just briefly tell y'all about hurricanes. And I don't know if you all realize this, but hurricanes start in Africa, in a particular place in Africa, and the rotation of the hurricane touches every single slave report. That's how it goes. So it's not like its trajectory is going to leave Africa and then go out and miss the Caribbeans and then hit the United States. No, every place that was a slave drop-off is the line in which hurricanes form and travel. They never travel the opposite way. They originate in Africa, and then they travel the Middle Passage, the Mid-Atlantic slave trade route. Just food for thought. You know how we are. And then on this show, we sip power to pour truth, and that's just a little truth that you can sip on and pour later. Kevin Hart, bless his heart. There seems to be a little bit of something going on with our comedians. His back is broken. It's had to be fused in 3 places. It's also been said that he was there, and then it's some conflicting stories. So I hope we don't have a juicy sommelier situation. Shout out to Dave Chappelle. We did that. Sticks and stones. If you haven't seen it, run now. Leave your job. Go see it. It has to be seen. I'm hoping and I'm prayerfully optimistic, Shanika, this is not another Juicy Small Yay. However, they're saying that his friend was driving his Barracuda and he was pinned. The friend was pinned, but then the EMT said he pulled Kevin Hart from the driver's seat. So I don't know. Maybe Kevin Hart was able to crawl over, but his back is broken in the lumbar. So when you talk about lumbar support in the chair, you know that's your lower back, right above your bottom, and then the thoracic area of his back, which is behind your lungs, is broken. It's broken in 3 places and had to be fused. So he is going to be rehabbing, and we are praying for a speedy recovery. And I'm also praying that this don't go sideways.
Well, and I think there's always something going on involving Kevin Hart. Just my opinion. I mean, it seems real peculiar that they took him home. How are you going to take somebody home?
With
you made it worse.
Broken back. Well, they say he walked. First they said he walked.
Yeah.
Then they said a witness spotted an EMT, but his friend was driving. That's why I said this sounded a little juicy, smooth.
I don't care who was driving. It wasn't a good medical decision to move somebody out of the accident in the first place. And why would you leave?
Because that's called fleeing the scene.
Call the ambulance and stay right there.
So something's up.
So for his wife,
I like old K Hart.
And if it's for his wife to call and say that he's got projectiles or things protruding out of his back and out of his side, I mean, just crazy. And she was so calm about it. Like, I don't know what happened.
Juicy.
I don't know.
This sounds real juicy.
It sounds. But you know what? Sometimes funny ain't funny. You know what I'm saying? There's all kinds of stuff. Martin Lawrence, Cat Williams, they all just flip out after a while. So maybe being in that funny life.
But you know what? Dave Chappelle said it best. I can't get enough of Dave Chappelle. I mean, I have somebody in my life that's very special to me, but Dave Chappelle kind of, and he done gained some weight, girl. Hey, Dave. But Dave Chappelle said it best when he said these people have to be so strong to get to where they are because Hollywood is not this gracious place.
Yeah.
And so, and he said at the Actors Studio when he's been interviewed, he said there has to be something a little sick going on in Hollywood for Mariah Carey to get naked on TRL, for Martin Lawrence to be running around waving a gun saying they're trying to kill me, But I know that this is the second time in very recent years that we had Tracy Morgan, who was flipped over in a car and broke his back.
Right.
So I don't know if it's a back attack or the comedian. Well, we're gonna have to bubble wrap our people.
Richard Pryor too. Richard Pryor back in the day, all of it.
But that's because Richard Pryor was on dope.
Well, yeah,
and now we hear that his sidekick, you hear? Paul Mooney supposedly was so something sick going on.
14-year-old boy.
With something sick going on in Hollywood. However, we do want, we absolutely want Kevin Hart to make a speedy and fast recovery. And what I appreciate about you all is y'all haven't jumped on the bandwagon saying, they're having different opinions about what happened. And I think that's because Kevin Hart. So I do want to very briefly talk about people who need to shut up. You need to be quiet. Listen to your girl. Kevin, don't say anything else about LGBTQ because you cannot speak on it. No. Now, he was on there, he did an interview, and Lil Nas X said he thought it was important for him to come out and talk about his sexuality and be identified in that sexuality while he's at the top and not kind of swirling around trying to figure out what his next move is going to be. And I think I have some mixed emotions about that. One, I think it's pitiful and pathetic that people feel like they have to come out and say something. I think that you have the right to live your life the way you want to live it. I think that it's pitiful that people are held under scrutiny about who they choose to love. I had somebody basically tell me that, y'all still incognito? No, we're not incognito. It's just none of your business, Negro. So, I mean, and I think everybody ought to have that kind of mentality. It's none of these people's business. What's going on? And so Kevin was like, okay, so he's gay. And what he was trying to say is, he was like, who cares? Well, you know what, Kevin, you're not in a position. Well, you kind of not in no position. Now you're probably laying down. But you're not in a position to have anything to say, period. I mean, you just need to be quiet, baby, because you're not the person that they want to hear from. Right. And when he broke his back, well, those that are friendly to that community, they were like, nan, nanny, boo, boo. That's what you get.
Right. And I think it goes back to the whole Oscar situation where he wanted to host and there was this whole backlash from the LGBT community
Well,
about
he said
what he said 10 years ago in a day. And maybe what he was trying to do on LeBron's
tell people what
show.
he said, though.
Well,
he said, if my son was gay, I would break a dollhouse over his head.
Yeah.
And people were like, what in the world?
He was trying to be funny. I don't think it was, something that he seriously intended. But, we're so political and just, conscious these days that you can't really make a joke about things like that. Just like you can't make a joke about the N-word.
But he didn't know 10 years ago. But he didn't.
Right.
No, you can't make a joke about the N-word. Let's be clear. You can make a joke about the N-word. You can make a joke about the N-word even if you're not Black. See, we used to try to say that, but look at Gary Owens. He doesn't necessarily say the word. He just uses all the stereotypes of the word. But because he sleeps Black, he thinks it's okay to joke Black. See, sleep Black don't make you be Black. People get that confused.
Now, she has a very strong opinion about interracial relationships, and I feel very differently about it. I believe.
No, I don't. I don't have
love who you love.
I don't have strong opinions about interracial relationships. I really don't. I don't care. As long as you ain't over here patting me on my behind and Google eyes my man, I don't care what you do. I just feel like everybody needs to stay in their lane. What I do think, though, is that there is always this crossover that is not really a crossover. There is an assimilation of one group to the other. There is either the Black guy who has something very negative to say about Black women who goes home to a white woman, or it is the Black woman with dreads in her head that is pro-Blacker than anybody, but went to a PWI, was married to a white man, doesn't get her hair done in the Black salon. It's some of that I find most annoying. I don't care who you sleep with, be with, talk to, and anything in between. I could not care less. But what I do get concerned about is the hypocrisy in many of these relationships, certainly not all, but many of the relationships. So let's be real clear about how I feel about interracial dating. I don't care. I mean, it ain't my cup of tea, but do what you do. I could care less. I think Kevin Hart just needs to take this time as reflection and be quiet. All right, I'm gonna say I've all said enough about that. People that need to be quiet. Malik Yoba. He needs to be quiet. He needs to be quiet.
Wow.
Because why are you saying why?
Because I just never would have, from back in the day. What was the show? It wasn't 21 Jump Street. It was what was this New York Undercover. It was one of the New York Undercover. That was one of my favorite shows, and he just seemed like the quintessential, Black man that just, was all about us. And, I realized that was a character and not the actual person that he is or was.
Maybe it was him. Maybe this is an evolution of him.
The mother of his two children is not African American. So,
but I think people evolve, and you just got through saying people can love who they love,
and that's right. And I don't disagree.
And he also loves transgenders.
That floored me. That just really took me to a place because I'm just
Why did it take you to a place?
Well, I think when you look at that and you idolize kind of the show and the characters as a younger person, I just assumed that he was straight and he was not that there's.
But now let's be clear. His affinity for men that dressed like women, or because I'm not real clear when we start talking about the T part of this of the acronym, what that means. That means they're in transition. Does it mean that they just identify as a woman? Because I'm not quite sure. What my issue is with Malik Yoba is I don't care. He ain't over here asking my boys put on no makeup. I don't care what he does.
But he looks different. He looks different now.
Because
he looks real effeminate.
Well, you'd be looking like that too if you were trying to be an actor and you was like a D-list. Like, he don't have no money for stuff. So the other thing, the thing that got me is he went all the way there. He went all the way there. He celebrated. Now, this boy was being accosted, if you watch the video, and later he committed suicide. And he was saying that he should not have had to justify his sexuality. Well, you don't see the whole video, so I don't know how it got there. I don't know if someone ousted this young man or what, but he was like, okay, so what? Well, that's the right response. So what? Because it has nothing to do with the other people who are worried about whether or not he has affection or has relationships with transgenders. Has absolutely nothing to do with anybody else. The problem I have with Malik Yoba is the fact that he went all the way there and said he has trans affection, and that it's not about genitalia, it is about who you decide that you have this soul connection with. That's fine. But he did not say he was in a relationship with someone that is transgender. And so his mother of his children came out, ousted him, and was very upset because she wanted to know, that's fine. I've been keeping your secret for years. I'm paraphrasing. This is how I've been hearing the conversation in my head. I've been holding you down for years. And I've been keeping your secret for years. But you couldn't have a conversation with our children because now you're putting the children in the line of fire. They are now in a position to be ostracized and bullied and mistreated and taunted in the same way that this young man was taunted because you have not protected them. And so you have a right to do whatever you want to do. But we as parents have an obligation to secure our children's well-being. And so that was her issue, right, wrong, or indifferent. That was her issue. My issue with Malik Yoba was you told all of that. You got all the way there and did not say, and I'm in a relationship with a transgender who I dearly care for. I mean, that was one sentence and it's like 5 or 6 words. So then I have to ask myself, well, what was the point?
Right. Publicity. I mean, he just wanted to come out.
He's trying to be relevant.
He's trying to be relevant and get back on stage. But I mean, above all else, you can't leave that conversation out with your kids, especially if they're old enough to kind of understand that, yeah, mom and dad aren't together. I'm in a different relationship. And my new significant other looks like a woman but has penis. I mean, that's a conversation.
Or maybe they're going through the transition.
Maybe so.
And so then it doesn't have to be I don't understand why we feel so obligated to tell it. And so there's something that's sick about our society where people feel that they have to identify in a way publicly, sometimes even when they're not ready, because of the way that we handle people's sexuality. You know, people talk about swingers too, but you don't see swingers feeling the need to come out and say, I'm a swinger.
Very true.
Because the scrutiny is different. And so I think that's, I just think sometimes you just need to be quiet. Kim Hart and Malik Yoba, get off. Somebody need to do you like Kanye. Kim, get somebody over there to get Malik Yoba's phone because he's over here Kanye. I don't understand why y'all feel like y'all gotta do all this. And and then there was Black Twitter some was celebrating, some was saying, I was part of it because I don't understand it. I'm also going to go somewhere, and I know that people are going to be not so happy with what I have to say today. But the whole thing came out about Jay-Z and the NFL and how he struck this deal. And the deal was basically that he would curate the Super Bowl shows. Okay, well, people are saying, oh, that's not, he's just trying to get an NFL team. Well, okay, if he gets an NFL team, the thought, without us knowing, I'm looking in my crystal ball, it would let me believe that more Blacks were going to get a shot. Money management was going to be a part of, for lack of a better term, the team curriculum in a sense. Now, the NFL and the NBA do hold certain classes, but I think it's just one time during orientation when you're a freshman. I think the NBA makes you come back again as a sophomore, and then that's that. So you have a lot of money mismanagement and misappropriation of funds as athletes. But that is the thought process. And I was tagged in a lot of posts. A lot of people have a lot to say, but I was tagged in a lot of posts where they said Jermaine Dupri, which is basically, for lack of a better term, the godfather of music recognition in Atlanta. And people had a lot to say about that, and they tagged me in a post, and they, people be trying to come for you, girl, and I don't know why, because don't come for me, baby, unless I sent for you. But I thought it was ironic that people were just after Jay-Z, And they cut the clip. They didn't allow him to have his full say because they wanted to run with it because they juiced it. That's my new term. When you just bandwagon something and you tech everybody and you don't have all the facts, they juiced it. And they ran behind and they wanted everybody to get on the bandwagon. I wasn't on the bandwagon. I think Jay-Z has done some good work. I mean, I'm not a Jay-Z fan in that regard. I think it's devil worshipful. And well, maybe he's changed because the 444 album said it before. He has this song where he says this Jesus thing really works. But he was wearing the whole shirt, do what thou willst, which is a line from Aleister Crowley. Y'all need to look that up. He ushered in Satanism in Europe, and then that's how it's stemmed to the United States. His mother said he was the most evil person in the world. And so do what thou willst is a mantra of Satanism born from Aleister Crowley. That's why y'all need to pay attention to the upside down cross at their shows. But I've digressed. And with that being said, I was like, okay, we out here getting people lawyers when they need them. And the little boy couldn't, he couldn't sit down during the national anthem. He immediately dispatched the team. The lady whose little baby took the little dollar store Barbie and they pulled their guns on her, acting like the woman was an alien that came from outer space. They were terrified, but that's because they're scary. But we'll talk about cops another day. And, so some of them, he's doing some good work. So I couldn't understand why they attacked him so, because here's the part nobody's going to like. Colin Kaepernick, when he first was playing for San Francisco 49ers, he had his hair cut close. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody cared. Nobody knew what he was ethnicity-wise. After it started looking like his job was shaky, then Colin Kaepernick grew his hair out. First he started wearing the braids. Then when it got long enough, he had a blowout, and it was a nice blowout. Then he took the braids off and everything. And so from that, we started saying, then he knelt. Now, let me tell you why I was with Cap. And I'm not against Cap now. Because Tim Tebow did the same thing. Tim Tebow knelt, and it was against abortion. And in that, Tim Tebow was celebrated because he would not stand during the national anthem as long as this country allowed women to choose or have the opportunity to make a decision about whether or not they wanted to carry a baby to term. And so these bleeding heart conservatives were all championing him. So the thing in this country is that you can actually support a child that is not born, but you cannot support a human being that has been brutally slain with their hands up, carrying no weapon, shot in the back, all of these things. So that is what you cannot do. Well, with that being said, we need to not forget what it was all about, because many of y'all are out there, y'all still watch football. I don't watch NFL games anymore. Jerry Jones said that they could not kneel, they would be fired. It was a whole cotton picking plantation mentality. I don't watch football anymore. I don't do that. So we're gonna let you hear the Jay-Z clip so that you can actually hear it. So because it's been cut a lot, and I think we got that clip. We ready to go? All right, listen to what Jay-Z actually said when he said we're past kneeling.
Yeah, I think it's time to go into actionable items. I think everyone knows what the issue is. We all know the issue now. Okay, next. What are we moving on next? And I'm not, again, so to be clear, I'm not minimizing that part of it, because that has to happen. That's a necessary part of the process. But now we all know what's going on. What are we going to do? Because the kneeling was not about a job. It was about injustice. Let me bring attention to injustice. Everyone's saying, how are you going forward? Cap doesn't have a job. This wasn't about him having a job.
Okay, so let's be real clear. It wasn't about Cap having a job, but we were incensed, and I'm saying we because me too. We were incensed about the fact that they had blackballed this boy. But let's be clear. We started paying attention to Colin Kaepernick when his job was shaky. That's when we started paying attention. I mean, he didn't do this at the height of his career. Lil Nas X gave y'all the blueprint of how you supposed to do what you do. So, then we came, so people tagged me. Jermaine Dupri, he called Jermaine Dupri. He didn't want Jermaine Dupri to have the job. You know what? On this show, we produce receipts. Play the clip, Angela.
doing it. Conversation I get involved.
We didn't have a conversation.
Everybody understands that. And today, on the Big Tigger Show, I'm speaking and letting people know. He and I never had a conversation where he told me, don't do what you're doing.
Right.
What our conversation was that you know what side I'm on. I understand what you're doing. That's what the conversation was.
Got it.
So y'all are out here saying he told him not to do it. That never happened. You hear Jermaine Dupri, that's Big Tigger Show. That's the clip with Brian Cox. Brian Cox came out here and he actually said Jay-Z said it. And they kind of whitewashed it. And Jay-Z was like, B. Cox is my man, but he gonna have to stand on his own. But he did finally come out and say, Jay-Z didn't say that.
I disagree. Sounds like a corporate cover-up to me. I understand that Jay-Z is a boss in everything that he does, and whatever he says gets done because he's that powerful now. All the money, all the companies, all the access. Yeah, he's that dude. He's that dude right now. However, Jermaine Dupri was simply talking about hosting a concert in the park in downtown Atlanta and doing all these things. I believe that a phone call did happen. I believe that he shut that stuff down or told him, no, I don't think it's a good look for you. I actually believe that happened. And then to come to the table for himself in a money-making, shrewd business move, I think that absolutely happened.
Well, let me tell you what JD said.
I know what he said, but I'll tell you what I believe happened.
He told Big Tigger, he said he met with the families. The families were coming against him. They said, one woman stood up and said, you have blood money. He said the NFL, which is true. I have friends that have played in the NFL. There is a huge week of activities. All he did was say, I'm going to give a free concert.
Right.
In downtown Atlanta during this time because people need a healing. They need to be able to do something that's fun. They need to be able to come together. And that is what he provided. I don't believe Jay-Z told him don't provide that because the deal that JD had never involved the NFL. That's not what those concerts are for. The NFL has opportunity for showcases, but JD was not providing. He wasn't making any money off of it. It was a free concert. You can't make me believe that Jay-Z called him and said, don't have a free concert. And the concert happened. They said they had never had that many people in downtown Atlanta. So I think we start juicing the situation before we really know what happened. And people are mad at Jay. Be mad at him. I don't care. I mean, I ain't Beyonce.
Well, my position is if you're going to do that and allow him to do these free concerts or whether or not the conversation was had about the concerts, when you go to the table to talk about Colin Kaepernick and the kneeling and everything that happened, take everybody to the table with you that's trying to do some good in the hood. That's all Jermaine Dupri was trying to do, was do some good in the hood for the people of Atlanta.
But how does Jay-Z affect that?
Well, I think he has the power, the ability to blackball, to pick up the phone and, like he's doing with these lawyers and getting people. I mean, he's doing stuff behind the scenes.
Do for JD?
Well, I just think that if you're going to come to the table and make money off of the deal, then bring Colin Kaepernick to the table with you. Bring JD to the table with you. If there are other people, we ought to be. We are the world around here in a musical sense, and everybody.
But we're not. Because
come together collectively.
Let me tell you what smart business is. When I sit at the table, when I'm with a candidate and they're asking me to do them, I don't take everybody with me. I don't take the social media guy. I don't take the person who's gonna do the field team. I don't take the person who's gonna run the phone bank. I don't take them with me. I sit at the table, we get an idea, I go back, I say, look, here's the opportunity for us. I structure the deal, I make sure everybody gets paid. Now, I don't know what Jay-Z's gonna do, but I know that you don't go to the table with everybody. Jay-Z is a shrewd businessman. Now, I was a little disappointed to hear what the platform was going to be, but I am in a wait and see mode, and I'm not a Jay-Z fan, but I'm in a wait and see mode because that's not smart business. If you and you get an opportunity and, I do some healthcare, you do some healthcare. You get an opportunity to sit in front of somebody, you get the job first, you get it where it needs to be, then you bring me in when you have your position solidified.
And I get that.
That's I'm sorry, but
I get that.
That's some ninja stuff where you say, well, I want everybody with me, because you know what? Everybody is not going to be able to be at the same place at the same time to work and structure a deal. He's saying he's going to bring, what I envision is more artists to the table so that Black folks can actually be part of the Super Bowl performance, halftime performance, which means they get paid, which means now we start having a collective voice. I think that he's got this brand now where the clothing are coming out and that kind of thing. Why not do that? Because we're trying to shut down Gucci. We mad at this, let's now, he's trying to give us another for us, by us, perhaps.
Trying to make more money.
Well, but I mean, he very well may be trying to make more money. This whole country is about capitalism, but I don't know what it's going to be yet, and I think we need to wait and we need to see before we start juicy small the situation.
And if it's a phased approach, I'm okay with that. Yeah, maybe JD comes in later with all this talent and all that extra, but if Colin Kaepernick initiated the conversation and this is the next step in that platform or how we're going to move forward with that, then he should have had Colin Kaepernick at the table, because let me tell you, the first question all the media asked is, what is Cap's position on this, or what did Colin have to say about all of this? That was that he couldn't even get through what he wanted to say because they wanted to know where was Colin. He should have had a conversation with that man and brought him to the table.
I think that's ridiculous.
No,
I think it's ridiculous because
I disagree.
When you don't bring somebody to the table who has sued the NFL, Colin can tell us how much money he got, and y'all back to watching football. So I don't really know that I agree with any of that. Colin Kaepernick got Nike. So, Black folks need to start to understand that we need to be out there. Everybody in position. Let Jay-Z have the NFL. Let Colin deal with Nike. And then we need maybe JD gonna do something else. But we need to have in place the spooks at the door. And if you can't take everybody with you. So you know what? And he's saying, well, Colin Kaepernick's upset. He said, okay, you know what? I also think that whole Lemonade album was so that y'all could buy 444, because they kind of went together. So I'm simply saying some of this is a ruse. Some of this is the matrix, and y'all stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe and getting upset. I'm not going to take everybody with me when I'm trying to sit down and get a deal done. When the ink is drawn on the paper, I bring my people to the table and I make sure people get paid, and that I can produce receipts, because folks know I make sure my folks get paid. But I don't take them to structure the deal with me. I don't even tell them the deal is coming. I call you after and say, hey, here's an opportunity. What it's looking like for you. This is how much money I think I'm putting you. Maybe I can't do that, but I can do this. That is what I do. So, if I'm now in line with Jay-Z, because y'all sure threw me under the bus and backed up and rolled over me. But I said that, meant that, and represent that. All right, I gotta get off of them. I gotta get to some of these new Texas laws, y'all. New Texas laws, then I'm gonna have to take a quick commercial break. New Texas laws in effect on September 1. You have the 2021 Texas legislature is going to put $250 billion in education, school funding, teacher salaries, and early childhood intervention. Perhaps we will get more data on the school to prison pipeline, because I'm wanting to see how this $250 million is going to be dispersed. Y'all stay tuned, and I'll be bringing that to you. Born Alive Act, House Bill 16. You're going to treat a baby as if it was born, if it is born alive in late-term abortions, in the instance that the abortion fails. I'm not quite sure what that means, because Texas doesn't really allow you to do late-term abortions, so I don't know. New smoking age has been changed from 18 to 21. So those of you who have formed a smoking habit at 18, you're going to have to wait to buy it legally, and they are carding. They are stopping you from doing that. House Bill 22, they are defunding abortion providers. So if you are working with a state or local government, you're not going to get any money if you do abortion. It could be 2% of your practice that does abortions. You could be doing everything else. You're not going to get any funding. These conservatives are out of control. Reputation from the Oval Office is ruling everything, especially Texas. Shout out to Greg Abbott. You know how he got in the wheelchair? He was over his side piece house and a tree fell on and broke his back. All right. No more driver responsibility, House Bill 2048. you are now not required to pay all those surcharges because they can no longer restrict your driver's license. I told y'all before, Angelo, you remember we had the conversation when I was telling them, listen, y'all go get on a payment plan because you can't have these warrants out here. You don't give them an opportunity to stop you. Well, I didn't talk about the bill because I wasn't sure what the bill was going to do. That's why I told y'all to go get on a payment plan, because now you don't have to pay those surcharges and your license is no longer in jeopardy. We got a new rule for female inmates in Texas, House Bill 650. They will now be screened for trauma, and pregnant inmates will no longer be shackled. That's important because many women are in the jail system, prison system, because of some kind of trauma. So, you have a lot of women that have been raped, abused, domestic violence. They end up killing their abuser, and then they're in jail. So now they're going to be screened for trauma. We'll see if that's tracked, what that happened 10 years from now. We'll find out that 80% of the women that were in the penitentiary never should have been there in the first place. We need y'all to tell us that. All right. Free speech on campus. Conservatives have had their way. Ladies and gentlemen, Texas legislature says now you can no longer restrict conservative voices on university campuses, and if you try to stop a Klansman from telling you who you are and calls you a baboon, you can face disciplinary action. Greg Abbott he may not be the orangutan running the three-ring circus, but he's certainly a clown. We've got telemarketers. Last Sunday, they were no longer able to use fake numbers to call you in Texas. That's a good thing, because Habib is saying his name is Christopher, and he's really just trying to record your voice so that he can go back in and use a voiceover of you saying yes to something. Then you have a $30,000 phone bill. HB 1264, medical bills, no more surprises in the cost. So you used to have the anesthesiologist would have a practice, they would bill you, and then Shanika's shaking her head, she's in revenue cycle for hospitals. Then you would have the surgeon would have a separate bill, and so all of those bills no longer can be passed to you if the cost of the insurance company and the provider cannot be agreed upon. Then you must be made aware before anything happens. Lemonade stands are no longer illegal in the state of Texas, so little Janie can go out there and sell her some lemonade. God help us, we are so stupid. Right to pump. Mothers can now not only breastfeed in Texas, you can also pump your milk anywhere. Watch how that goes astray. House Bill 1117. Now, before y'all try to say something, I did nurse both of my children, and I'm all for it, but I also know that some people do some things that are not necessarily necessary. House Bill 1117 will allow people to carry their handguns unlicensed 1 week after any disaster has been claimed by or declared, by the governor, because they said after Hurricane Harvey, they wanted to be able to carry their guns. Now, Texas is an open carry state. You can have an AR-15 walking down the street, but now they want to be able to use their handguns. The thought process is that you no longer have looters coming in and taking your stuff. However, I think there's something else to that. It goes back to the no longer restrict conservative voice. Some of this is going too far. Additionally, Texas, I want to stop and speak to the massacre in Odessa, Texas. You need to know that while we're going through all of these new laws, Texas just lessened the restrictions on guns. Who can get them? So now while we're talking about being able to carry a week after a disaster, we're also talking about lessening the restrictions, and we're also not having a conversation because there are 8 bills before Greg Abbott that are believed to be signed where it deals with documentation, monitoring, and reporting, but nothing about the restriction of guns. And we just had a massacre in Odessa, and so we pay homage to the lives lost, the children, and the people that are traumatized and living in terror, because there seemingly is a target on the back of Hispanics to just go into their communities and shoot them up. And then if you're not Hispanic and you're not necessarily a target, but then you collateral damage. And so we need to be very aware of how these bills are coming down. House Bill 339. Sellers must now disclose if your house is in a floodplain or if it's been flooded. You do it with cars, now you do it with houses. And no one can steal packages anymore from your house. The restrictions have, well, you weren't supposed to steal them in the first place. So let me be clear about that. However, they seem to be
Porch pirates.
Yeah, you know. Horrible. But now it can range anywhere from a Class A misdemeanor all the way to a felony if you run around here stealing people's Amazon packages, because now they are going to look at how much the actual item is. And now your penalty for thievery. Remember when last time you heard somebody say thievery? The thievery, stealing, theft is now going to be according to what they cost.
You forgot one.
Which one I forgot?
The most important one about the nude pics. You know about that one?
Yes, I do know.
Yes, so
that's
it is
serious.
Now a felony to send someone.
No.
It's not?
To receive.
To receive an unsolicited nude pic from someone. So
how do you control that?
Complainers, you know, what 911 Jane or what?
But if someone sends me a pic, how do you charge me with a felony? I didn't ask for it. I didn't solicit it. I didn't respond to it. Now you mad, and so then you tell it on me, and now I'm in trouble because you sent it to me. I told you, baby, look at it. This 3-ring circles from the Oval Office has trickled down into sheer stupidity.
I'm being told it's a felony to send it, not to receive it.
To receive.
To receive.
Okay. You get now.
Well, do your research on that.
Yeah, do your research. But yeah, if you get it,
either way,
if you get it now, let's be clear. While you're doing your research, also check out all the times that a young black boy was charged.
That's the target.
When the young white girl sent her pic to him. He was charged. So this is not new, but y'all fact check me, and I know y'all will let me know if I'm wrong. All right, this is called the Black Tea Sip. We did a lot there. We're going to talk about HBCUs. We're going to talk about the HBCU Life Experience. I'm going to share some of my experience. I got on my Paul Quinn alumni shirt. I didn't take any breaks. I tried to get it all in. This is called Black Tea Sip. I'm going to take a quick break. You can't hear me on Facebook. Stay with me. Facebook tries to stop this sip, tries to stop your pour when you want to tell it again. And we're going to be silent on Facebook. It's muted. You can jump on the YouTube, hear the things that we say off air. And you can always go to Fishbowl Radio Network, fbrn.us. To go to the Gray Bowl, and you'll find me there, and you can listen in. You can also check out the podcast there, and you can vote for me, as I've been nominated for Best Female Host out of 150 platforms. I don't know how many are female, but it's 150 platforms, shows across the platform, and y'all got a little old me. So vote for me, and I'll be right back. Let's talk about the HBCU Life Experience. This is called the Black Tea Sip.
Hi, this is Dr. Charles and Julie.
We're gonna try to get it all in. Hey y'all, getting it in, girl.
We disagree sometimes.
That's why I have you here.
They ain't no thing. Yes, woman.
That's why I have you here.
Hold on. Look at that. Sending up receipts. Okay.
Who is it? I hope Darren's on YouTube listening, because I would say something.
He's not. So don't say it. Don't say it.
Ask him, are they gonna come to our, since he's doing all that? Ask him, can he send a team to the want to fact check? Ask the crew to send. I already did that. My cousin, the president, Mac. Send a team so that Alliance for Brighter Community can make some money.
Oh, for the HBCU thing, or
for a golf tournament?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Technology, engineering, art, and math. Schedule the Girly Shop teacher for your after-school programs, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, church events, and any other events you have in mind. The Girly Shop teacher is changing instruction one girl at a time. Find us online at girlyshopteacher.com.
TMC had did a thing on Kevin last night, and they said that Kevin wasn't the driver. And rumors are out there that he was the driver, but he wasn't the driver, and that they should not have moved him.
Right.
Waited
But it's odd to me that they're saying the EMT, someone said that they saw the EMT, read what Michelle is saying, that they saw it pull him from the driver's side, which is odd. But here's the thing, the car that they were in, the Barracuda, was converted from a 4-passenger car to a 2-passenger car. So they were, so Kevin and the fiance, if he was driving, were actually sharing a seat. And so, while out of all the cars he could be driving, why are 3 of y'all in this one car? It's all weird.
It was the older car, and the older car, the way the seatbelt was, instead of coming across, it's always comes back.
I remember the bench seat. Right.
And what happens is, his spine, it was 3 broken parts. They're saying.
No, yeah, so it's here, it's here in the, well, here, behind his lungs, here, and then in the lower back in the lumbar. But that still doesn't explain, out of all the cars you have, why are you driving this car if you got, if it's a 2-seater and you got 3 people?
Right.
And they also souped up the motor, all of that was done. Now, he got a right to do whatever he want to do with his car. However, it just seems, all of it seems odd. It all seems odd.
Rather peculiar.
And then they say they saw, I mean, I guess you could pull somebody over somebody else who's peeing, but why are you doing it? Was the car, did you think it was going to catch on fire? I mean, why are you doing that?
Doesn't make sense to go all the way home with a broken back, though.
And then they say an EMT, they say he walked home. And I'm like, how are you walking with a broken back? So I asked somebody who deals with that, and they were like, it's possible, but the pain would have been excruciating. None of this sounds right.
Well, clearly he was in shock, but
I'm in shock.
maybe he didn't feel the pain right away.
Your back broken.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what. I'm not sure why the way the story is being told in so many different ways, that so many different people have so many different renditions of what happened. It seemed a little juicy smoothie.
I mean, just think about it. That's any story. It's always triggered different.
Well, eyewitness accounts, oftentimes you're right. The eyewitnesses don't, but he walked home, now somebody pulled him from a car. That's so conflicting. I think when the eyewitnesses account, he had on a black shirt, now he had on a gray shirt, now he had on a white shirt. It usually follows that kind of line, but he still had on a shirt. This is the difference between, was he taken home via car or did he walk? So then you start saying, it's not sounding right. It sounds strange. But I don't know. I just report the news. I'm not living it.
I didn't know that other information you guys would be speaking on.
Malik Yoba? Yeah.
I had no idea.
He's
Really?
in the tray. He's in the chicks with dicks. Yep.
Really? Wow.
I just don't understand why
Cool.
I just don't understand why he had this long IG post and he was talking about all this, and he never said, I'm involved with the transgender. I mean, now I don't expect you to tell all your business, but the truth of the matter is that he never, you closed it. You told all of that. There has to be a reason why you didn't tell that other little part.
I
don't know.
I don't know exactly, but old enough to have a conversation with him.
Right.
I don't care if you're in kindergarten or you're on your job. People are going to, there's no way to get around that. And it's embarrassing to children who have not been prepared.
Mr. Daniels is asking, does being with a transsexual female make you gay, or a transsexual male? Is that?
I don't know. They got a bro code.
Bro code?
There's a bro code on those kind of things. I can't speak to that.
What do you mean bro code?
Men have a sense of what they think falls in line with what's gay and what's not.
Is that gay, Mr. Daniels? I don't know.
I mean, so he should be able to answer the question. Now, I can tell you what, I used to work for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Pardon and Parole Board. I can tell you what they say.
What they say?
Two men lay down, two punks get up.
Oh, that ain't what they say.
It is what they say. In the jail system, that is what they say.
What?
That's absolutely what they say. I'm not making that up. That's not a coism. That's what they say.
Oh,
That's not my opinion. I'm just telling you what they say.
wow, interesting. Interesting.
There's a lot of them, that like that.
I just got a text.
Interesting. You having fun yet, Auntie?
Very interesting.
She just like it because I fight with her. I don't let her just, coy all over me.
I mean, if I was the kind of person who always wants people to agree with me, I wouldn't invite people. I wouldn't be doing this Facebook Live. I would be doing this, I just have people on that agree with me.
He said that's gay.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
What you asking questions for? You already know the answer.
I guess he wanted your opinion on it.
I ain't touching it. I don't need the LGBTQ community to me. They worse than the beehive.
They worse than the beehive.
They're worse than the beehive. I don't need the drama. Because the truth of the matter is, I really don't care who people sleep with. I honestly don't. I think it was horrendous when you had gay couples and one would be the adopted parent and they would pass away, and then they would take the child from the other parent because by law, both of them could not adopt because they were same sex. See, some of that stuff is ridiculous. And it is almost like you do it because you can, not because it's sensible. Because to take a child out, put them in foster care, and we know all the horrendous things that happen in foster care. So but baby, let me tell you, I keep my comments to myself because I don't need no drama. Because when they get mad at you, baby, they stay mad. They done told Kevin Hart, you must have stepped on a crack and not broke your mama back, but broke your own back. I mean, they done told this man, that's what somebody posted, that's what she get.
That's what she get.
I said, Lord have mercy.
If he come out the closet or something, I'm done.
I doubt it. He just needs to learn to keep his mouth closed. Kevin needs to just be quiet.
That is funny.
Here we go.
That is funny.
He said the L's and the G's don't like each other.
They don't.
Is eased by the
They don't. But Dave Chappelle did a whole comedy show, and since Dave Chappelle's a multi-millionaire, I'm gonna let him speak to it. I ain't touching it.
I'm gonna have to watch this show.
You're gonna have to watch Sticks and Stones. It's incredible.
Is it that new one that just
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
I've heard about
you
that.
should go now.
Just take off, just say, I'll take my lunch break and
Deuces.
hit the parking lot. And just,
Do it.
yeah.
Because it is excellent.
I don't have to see it.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
It's on Netflix.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
My mother said we should be more professional during the breaks. Like, what you even doing watching? What
That's
you even on here?
That's what the breaks are for. The breaks are for that you get to see the behind the scene things that we talk about. Mom. All the professionalism happens on Facebook. Because Mark Zuckerberg and them try to be against it.
All right, here we go.
Good together.
Hello, all you melanated people. Sorry, by God's lips. This is Coy. I'm sipping pine.
People don't like the quiet. I'm gonna have to see out something.
I look better on Facebook picture.
All right. Before the break, I told you that we would be talking about the HBCU Experience. And for me, I believe in a historically Black college or university education. I believe in it.
Make it comfortable.
My mother and her siblings had an HBCU education. My grandfather graduated from Iowa State University, pledged Alpha there, and we have a history of Greekdom in my family. But we support what we believe the HBCU education is all about. And I say that because I remember being at Prairie View, and my boyfriend at the time, and I noticed that he logged in. Hey, that he was playing football for A&M as a freshman, and I was 45 minutes away at Prairie View. And I remember going to class with him, and there was 200 or 300 people in his class. And I remember thinking, my God, there's no way the professor knows you. There's no way you really know the professor. You know, what does that look like? You know, how, because I could be walking on campus at PV and my professor called me by name. Hey, you know, they would walk up, what y'all doing? You know, and so you had this experience. For Paul Quinn College, for me, it was an extraordinary experience coming from Prairie View, because I wasn't going to stay at Prairie View. I mean, I wasn't going to stay at Paul Quinn. I was going back to PV. And I came home when my dad was sick, you know, and my mother's father had passed while she was in college, and that was just like a terrifying thing for me. And so I remember, you know, the relationships, the friendships that I formed. It had been said by a girl that had graduated from North Texas. It was well known and established that all the best jobs in DISD went to Paul Quinn students, because the school was known for teaching and preaching. You had the Fab Five that came out of Paul Quinn College. Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes III is part of that, and they all of the major 5 denominations within the Christian community, they make that up. And so they used to give loads of money to Paul Quinn. So did I think Kelly Witherspoon, who's an attorney who graduated from the school, his firm, the Godsey firm, all these Kappas, and it has stopped. And I've had some conversations with people about the HBCU experience and how we that attended Paul Quinn think it's very different. Now, you went to an HBCU.
I sure did. Rattlers in the house. Florida A&M University.
And so, you know, I've had people on here that Howard. You know, what I know about being a sorority girl is that people who go to PWIs always feel like they didn't get the full brevity of the Greekdom experience. And it doesn't matter across the board. It doesn't have to be AKA, it could be Omega Psi Phi, it could be KSI. They feel like they didn't get it.
Yeah.
And so we connect, even though we didn't go to the same schools. That HBCU experience, you connect to that. For us, homecoming is not just going to watch the game like some of our counterparts at PWIs do, and maybe catch part. It's about fellowship, community, coming together. It's about network. It's about jobs. It's about kids. It's about going to a family reunion.
It's lifelong friendships. That's what it is for me. And it's FAMU homecoming is like going to Mecca every year. I mean, we hell, high water, boat, ski, plane, you know, any way we could get there, car. It's just an experience. It is something that it just can't be replicated, because these are people that you came of age with. I have friends all over the country. There's not a city I can go to in this country or other countries where I don't know someone that is somehow affiliated with the school or can point me in the right direction for someone that is. So, you know, I just had that experience last summer when I went to London. My roommate actually lives over there now and treated us with just awesomeness. She toured us all around and did all those things. And I'm not saying you can't get those types of experiences at PWIs, but
there's a disconnect. And they talk about the disconnect from a sorority or fraternity standpoint. But there's also a disconnect if you attended Paul Quinn College. So I posted that I was displeased about the president, Mike Sorrell, coming out and talking about, we have this championship soccer team. And, you know, and I said, well, you know, it's first time ever in HBCU history. I said, it's probably because it's not part of the HBCU experience. And some people were very upset about that. and didn't feel like I should have talked to him. So let me be real clear. I am not a fan of Mike Sorrell. I've been very vocal about that. I think that he is the Suge Knight and the P. Combs of HBCU. He all up in the video. He all, everything he wants to do, he wants to be seen. And then he's strong arms. So I had some Howard people who did not know what they were talking about, who are part of this. Y'all need to shut up when you don't know. Sometimes you just need to be quiet. And so they talked about, Paul Quinn, like many HBCUs, had a situation where they were talking about the school was going to lose its accreditation, and having this conversation with me. They keep saying, "Oh, well, y'all just don't like us. You don't have a football team." That's insulting, and we're not that shallow.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of HBCUs that don't have a football team. Dillard doesn't have a football team. Xavier doesn't have a football team. Well, I'm not supposed to say Xavier. I'm supposed to say Xavier.
Xavier
doesn't have a football team. So that's not it. But they have an HBCU experience.
Yes. That
life that they live is part of the culture of historically Black college or university that Paul Quinn does not have. And so I'm going to address that for the next 30 minutes. I'm going to talk about Paul Quinn, because it is hurtful to those of us in the alumni that are honest with ourselves and honest about the leadership and what's going on. They talk about, low enrollment. Well, Tuskegee has low enrollment. They have low enrollment, but they are not holding the children hostage in the dorm. You have to be on campus. A lot of times schools have curfews just for safety, because let's be honest, most HBCUs are in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
So for safety reasons. But these children are restricted to their dorm. A lot of people thought it was great that they gave them a dress code, because they said they were coming up there in pajamas. Well, a lot of schools had to deal with that, and they just taught them that's unacceptable. So I think it's odd that we don't allow children at Paul Quinn to just wear flip-flops and jeans when they're wearing booty shorts and t-shirts at Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
But Mike Sorrell is celebrated for that. He is celebrated for getting rid of the football team and putting up a garden. Okay, that's fine. I had somebody tell me, this Leslie D.W. Jones on Facebook told me that we had a world-renowned garden. Well, I don't know how it's world-renowned. I've been in several countries. I had a very extensive conversation with someone in Italy, and they never mentioned Paul Quinn in the United States. So I don't know how the renowned is being defined. However, what I will tell you is there's no agricultural program. So he took away the football team. I was told by his then chief of staff, Lori Price. I grew up with Lori, loved Lori. Lori was in 8th grade, I was 7th grade, so she was phenomenal. And she said that it was justified because it was costing them $1 million a year. Well, this is what I'll say. The same coach that was brought in for Paul Quinn was the same coach that allegedly there was impropriety with the football program funds at UAPB. Then you bring them in, and all of a sudden the football program's gone. Now, I can't connect those dots because no one has told me that. I'm just telling you what I see. I can tell you that she absolutely loves FAM, and Shanika goes back to FAM every year. You have a lot of people that will do that at homecoming. I can tell you, standing on the field at homecoming a few years ago, the lights on the soccer field came on when we were all congregated, and then Mike Sorrell turned them off and left us in the dark. But because Paul Quinn made, we turned on the headlights, and Goonie Ray, our DJ phenomenal, shout out to Goonie Ray and the DJ Romeo, who keep the ones and twos going for us on homecoming. They kept playing because we wasn't going to stop our fun. But it's hurtful. I get a little emotional when I talk about Paul Quinn, because I know what it once was and I know what it is now. I told y'all he's the P. Diddy and he's Sean P. Diddy Combs and the Suge Knight of HBCUs, because he's strong arms. I've had people reach out to me since I posted in a group that my sorority sister, my chapter, said, Coy, can you reach out to someone at your alma mater, because we cannot get them to come to the HBCU college. They're local. Paul Quinn College, founded in 1876 by former slaves. That's why it really was a teaching and a preaching school. It's the oldest Black school west of the Mississippi River. It is the only historically Black college university here locally. Started its roots in Austin, moved to Waco, was endowed a piece of land for years until that man died. And so many years after he died, and then his family called to know they wanted the school moved, and the school moved to Dallas. I had this same Leslie chick. She's friends with Crystal James. I was very disappointed in the way Crystal handled things. But oftentimes people will be Facebook gangsters. We talked about that. And, they're unapologetic on Facebook, but then live their life apologizing for everything, even breathing. And I find that to be a bit of oxymoron and some hypocrisy there. And I was very disappointed and hurt because I considered her a friend, but it is what it is. And so I think that people want to believe in Paul Quinn. I don't think that people do this, and some of us have experienced this a lot lately because we have been a lot more vocal of our hurt and disappointment because we want to share the same historically Black college university life experiences that our counterparts are experiencing. And we're not. We don't get that. And so I had people reach out to me, and I had people tell me things about Paul Quinn and celebrate Mike Cerrone. That's fine. If you like him, that's fine. Everybody's not going to like everybody. Everybody's not going to be able to please all the people all the time. What I can tell you about homecoming is I remember the next year he never turned the lights on. Now, personally, I was disappointed because I talked to him. He rolled up to me. I know his wife. She's Roy's sister. We call each other by name. She rolled up to me with their cute little kids and was talking to me. And I asked him, hey, you going to turn the lights off? He got in that golf cart and drove off and left her and the kids standing there with me. And that happened.
Is he a HBCU graduate?
No, ma'am, he is not. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because that's exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
He graduated from PWI. He does not respect
We tried
HBCU.
it. We tried it at FAMU.
And you got
rid of that woman so fast.
Okay,
yeah,
but see, here's the thing, and I'm glad you brought that up, and that's
Mhm.
why I asked you to sit here with me. Other than that, I just love your company. So let me go back. I went and they had this HBCU college. They have this HBCU college fair every year, and I actually contemplated doing it. And I said I cannot in good conscience. I can't do it because of the issues and the problems that I see. But here is the big problem that I had. I advocated for Paul Quinn College to get the money. Remember HBCU Ivy Spotlight? I advocated for Paul Quinn to get the $5,000. Paul Quinn College has been absent from this HBCU college fair in Little Elm. It's a little hike. It's about 45 minutes from the campus every year. I advocated and made sure that Paul Quinn College got the money. I'm not going to even talk about the part. See, I'm not saying this part right here. This is parenthetical. I'm not saying the part where a board member told me make sure the money always goes to the alumni, even when you pay it personally, because if it's paid to the school, we'll never see it. We'll never get an accounting of it. That was said to me. So I know that I made sure they got the $5,000. And then they won't even respond when we ask them to come to the college fair. I can tell you that I had the same people from Howard who, I think they feel like they're authorities because they know how to lick their finger and turn the page in Forbes where it's celebrating this man. And they're saying, well, we're just dealing with feelings because we're too ignorant. I guess we didn't graduate from Howard. We're too ignorant to understand that the facts that we also have facts to support our feelings. We feel the way we feel because our feelings are valid. I think that's a huge misnomer, especially in this city and people who think they know something about this city. I don't understand how people can tell me about Paul Quinn when you can't tell me about Highland Hills. You've never stepped foot on the campus. You're telling me about how great it is, but how much money have you given to Paul Quinn? Then you question the Paul Quinn students when they are saying openly, I used to be a faithful alumni supporter through my funds, but I have been disrespected. I've been mistreated. I've been talked to badly by the president of the university. I had a young girl. I'm not going to call her name, even though she told me I could. I'm not, because I'm going to bear the backlash that this is going to cause me. And I'm not going to put anybody else in. She called me and she said, my grandfather graduated from Paul Quinn. I'm well established with Paul Quinn. My uncle graduated from there, and I went to Paul Quinn. And I asked, why don't they do more recruiting from the DFW area, Dallas Independent School District in particular? And the president said during his town hall, so you understand it's open, Shanika, it's everybody's there. He said, because of students like you. That's what he told her. Now, I don't know what that means because I wasn't there. But her takeaway from it, the way she felt about it, was because what? She was an excellent student. But he tried to humiliate her. I know that Brandon Wallace used to be a professor there. He's a friend of mine, a member of Omega Psi Phi, and he told me almost in tears because he loved Paul Quinn, graduated from Prairie View, respects the HBCU way of life. He said to me he could not stay. Paul Quinn has the lowest graduation rate in the state of Texas. That's a fact, because see, somebody told me to give them facts. That's a fact. I can also tell you Paul Quinn's retention rate is about 57%. And you say, okay, well, that's fairly decent, people, black colleges. So I'm gonna be honest and I'm gonna be fair. Black colleges, but it doesn't have any kind of master's degree program. But Tuskegee, who is comparable to Paul Quinn, but not in name and not in recognition because of Tuskegee Airmen and the fly job Tom Joyner. So you don't get the benefit of that. They have a retention rate of 70% and they have low enrollment as well. There are 436 students that go to Paul Quinn, and Mike Sorrell makes well over $300,000 a year. I don't understand that.
Hey, that's crazy.
I don't
understand. You said
436? 436 students.
Enrollment?
Yes.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
So I don't want to harp on.
That's everybody's tuition right there for his salary. Wow.
People at Paul Quinn that work there will not talk about what's going on, and if they do, they are fired. I had a young man tell me that he was ushered out. He said that he brought up the fact that the school had been facing losing their accreditation, was solid by the time he found out. The school did not lose their accreditation. However, he was lambasted by the president for breaking that out in the town hall. That should not have been a secret from the students. The other thing is that when he was actively campaigning for Bernie Sanders, which is his right, and that's what normally college students do, Mike Sorrell was trying to get Hillary Clinton on campus. A week before finals, he was ushered off the yard by security and not allowed back on. No due process. Now, this is what he tells me. This is alleged. I can't say it happened for sure because I was not there and I didn't have a way to verify it. Although he said it openly in a public forum where someone had the opportunity to dispute or refute what he was saying. The same people that would tell me about Howard University are not addressing the fact that they just had over $400,000 stolen by a student back in March. It all came out. I don't know if you remember that. It was all over Twitter and every social media platform. And they took over. They stormed in the office and said they shall not be moved. They had water and drinks and snacks, and they were there in their PJs and their clothes and fuzzy slippers, and they were not leaving. See, Paul Quinn used to be able to do that. See, they started out doing that with sit-ins. We were about social justice in several ways, and then Mike Sorrell stopped that. The children there, and I'm calling them children because that's how he treats them, but let's be fair, the students there don't have a voice. I had this same person who extremely disappointed me asked about, do you know who your trustees are? It was very flippant. Arrogant. I got a lot of calls and texts about it. People felt some kind of way. It doesn't appear that you vote on your board person, your trustee. No, they don't vote because they're not given the liberty to vote. The students there don't operate in the same kind of college Black life structure that other campuses are able to do. The Howard University president is because there's so much gentrification around Howdy, Fred said, at least y'all don't have people walking their dogs and poo-pooing on the ground. And then somebody else came back, which was ridiculous because she didn't get the point. Well, we had to put up a gate because we had stray dogs. Well, okay, the campus in the hood, that's not an uncommon thing to have to deal with. I mean, we had a bunch of stray cats in Prairie View when I was there. It's superfluous. But you won't allow the truth to be told. So I'm sitting here telling y'all the truth, knowing that I'm gonna catch hell for it. I'm a big girl. I pack a lot of weight. Y'all come on, because I'm gonna tell you the truth about Paul Quinn. It grieves and sickens our heart that this man has systemically destroyed the Black life that used to exist on campus. This is not about having a completely Hispanic team, soccer team on Paul Quinn's campus. I think it was this Leslie chick who said that happens at a lot of HBCUs. She would not be wrong.
No, she's not.
That happens. You know why? Because if you're non-Black, non-African American, you go to a historically Black college or university, you get more money, just like when you're non-white, you go to a PWI. Someone was able to tell me, Foster was at the mayor at the time, who was the mayor of Louisiana, who graduated from Southern Law School. This is not new. People go to Texas Southern. Shout out to Gamma Psi. They go to Texas Southern, and then when they can't get in Rice or U of H, they go to Texas Southern. They do a year or two, and then they go. This is not new. We used that Lincoln University, where my mother went to school in Jeff City, Missouri. When I was talking about maybe I should go to Lincoln U and my mama's alma mater, I remember that she was my suite mate at Prairie View. She said, "No, I went there before I transferred to Prairie View." There's no sign of Black life because it had been taken over, the caucasity of it all. So this is not necessarily a new thing. What is new is that people from the outside looking in want to tell Paul Quinn people how to feel. That to me is egregious, because the truth of the matter is that you've got a president in place at Paul Quinn College that does not respect the Black life experience. You have a campus that people celebrate for in Plano. It's called Paul Quinn Plano. Now, why would you do that? I remember my former bachelor's when I crossed talking to her sister who was incensed. I was going to say outraged. She was incensed because her son was saying, "I don't know how I'm going to get to Plano." She said, "I don't either, because I dropped you off at Paul Quinn. All your classes should be there." Let's talk about that for a moment, because there was plenty of photo apps and ops and everybody was celebrating it. But the truth is, why are you not pouring those same resources into Paul Quinn? It was supposed to be celebrated that these children were going to have the benefit of learning from people that are working at these Fortune 500 companies like Toyota. But why are they not coming to the campus? You pull in your resources. You don't pour them out. I can tell you that I honestly believe that the idea was born in Mike Sorrell's brain to have this whole Plano campus thing. And I'm calling it a thing because I don't really know what it is. It's because two people that I know very dearly, and that's all I'm going to say, because they haven't given me permission to call them names. And I told you the backlash that comes from this, I'm going to bear this burden. But I know two people I'm close to, two people I know very well, that work for DISD, that had a conversation with the president and said, we have an opportunity. The same opportunity that was at UTD and the same opportunity as University of North Texas at Dallas, where the DISD students would have the benefit of coming on campus. And then they had companies like American Airlines, Baylor Hospital, Texas Health Resources. I think Delta was involved in this. And that was a good opportunity for anybody who wanted to be involved in IT, because they're still going through the American Airlines United merger. I have a cousin that's heading up one of those divisions of that IT program. This would have been a good opportunity. There were several companies around the Metroplex that were going to come in, and you could set tracks. So it was a 2-year program where the students could go for 2 years, and then they would be in a track, not necessarily a trade, but they would learn certain things that would allow them to graduate from high school and go into that field with these companies. So kind of an externship, and the training went on with your junior and senior year. They also had a 4-year program where once you graduate, you would be considered a junior in college. They went to their alma mater because they wanted their alma mater to have the benefit of that. And his response was he wanted $10,000 per student. What? From DISD. Correct. See, some of this is ridiculous on his face. So he's the Suge Knight of HBCUs. But he did it too. Because I remember serving on the Dallas Mayor's task force on Confederate monuments. I now serve on the work group to contextualize all the things that we were able to get through Dallas City Council. And I was called by Professor Sebastian, who asked me to come and be a panelist. And there were people there that came from other places. Sarah Mercurio, who I served with, she's there. She heads up a nonprofit organization that deals with police brutality. There was a guy that came in from Austin, and he had been to Austin and other places around the United States dealing with Confederate monuments. It was people that actually had some skin in the game. And there sat Sorrell at the end of the day, not involved in any activism that I can tell that there is a correlation or a delineation of Black life. not African American experience, just Black life. I don't see that with him. But he sat there. He certainly had no information about Confederate monuments, but this is the P. Diddy in him. He wants to be seen. He wants to be recognized. So he sat there and literally one sentence came out of his mouth for the hour and a half or 2 hours that we were there. Because he had nothing to offer. And I'm saying he's the P. Diddy because every time you turn on anything that has to do with Paul Quinn, there he sits. There he sits. All up in the video. Doing all the ad-libs in the background on the rap songs. That's him. And I can tell you that they do not recruit very heavily from DISD.
Clearly.
And they've been asked why. They do recruit south of the border and in the valley very heavily. Well, it's more money. Okay, that's fine. But don't strip away the experience. The students that go to Paul Quinn do not participate in homecoming. Can you believe that? I remember Lonnie going into the dorm and saying, y'all don't want to come get a plate? Y'all, free food, free drink. What kind of student ain't waiting on homecoming? Because you get free food and you get free drink and it's nothing else. They're not even encouraged to mix and mingle with the alumni. When people want to tell me about Paul Quinn College, I can tell you that statistically, lowest graduation rate, 436 students. He makes well over $300,000. I could look at Houston Tillerson and you say, okay, well, it's the money comp. Well, it's about $11,000 to go to Paul Quinn a year. Okay, times 436. So then they say, well, the alumni doesn't support. Well, the alumni doesn't support because intelligent people don't like to be manipulated. Nobody's going to give you their money and they're being mistreated. Too many people across the board said, I used to, but this happened. I was faithful, but that happened. A board member told me you got to give the money to the alumni. That's the only way we're going to be able to have enough counting up. I don't know what people think is going on. When I said, okay, yes, they got rid of the football team and they planted a garden, but there is no agricultural program. State Senator Royce West is an avid supporter of Paul Quinn College. You mean to tell me you can't get a program together and you can't get the agricultural commissioner to start giving some internships? You're supposed to have a business program. You can't marry agriculture and business so that these kids understand nothing else, groceries, get a job at Kroger or somewhere. No, it's just teaching. And I'm not saying anything wrong, but we need teachers. But I know for a fact that I took to a board member, a young man named Douglas Redwine that works for Texas Health Resources. And he put together a 2-year program to train so that people could be able to work on the medical devices. I was the first medical device security analyst in the history of the United States that actually worked in the biomed department. And I built that department. Douglas and I had a conversation. I pulled my boss in, Pete LaRose, who was the director, and he wanted to sit down, help map out this curriculum. He said he would even be willing to teach a class or two. He makes very good money and wasn't really worried about salary. And he would hire Paul Quinn graduates who were 4-year degrees. I went to the board member, couldn't get no state. They came back to me after I give them this whole biomed program, and I've even got the people to write the program. We know we can get it accredited because this boy's already got a 2-year school accredited. You're going to have the director from Texas Health Resources teaching the class and building the program. He's going to write. I don't understand. They came back to me and said, well, we're going to do a nursing program. Oh, okay. Nursing. Paul Quinn College, you're going to compete with Texas Women's University. You're going to compete with one of the top schools in the nation. You're going to compete with El Centro, a 2-year degree program that is accredited by the American Medical Association. They believe they can make dead men walk when they come out of El Centro. You're going to compete with West Coast University, who is extremely high. I don't know what their graduation rates are. I can't speak to that. But I do know that they are completely technology-based when you don't have the resources to compete from the technology standpoint. So you don't want to do something where there's no program. I think there was one out in Waco, and it was fledgling, for lack of a better word. We're gonna build a 4-year program. I said, okay, well, I don't know why nursing would be the way you go. I gave them all the reasons I'm giving you all. I said, well, what about a compliance program? They have a lot of programs that have jurisprudence, the masters of jurisprudence. Why don't we build a compliance program? You need compliance in banking, finance, education, healthcare. Build a compliance program. I'll bring in the people from that. Start talking to my friend getting a PhD at UT Southwestern, Tracy Gray, who is the assistant of compliance, hospital compliance. Started talking to her about it. She was interested. I pulled in a couple of people. Had, got a soror that travels all over the world, runs multi-million-dollar budgets for pharmaceuticals. I pull all these people in. No, we're going to do nursing. They still don't have a nursing program. See, when people start trying to tell me about Paul Quinn, you need to watch. I started this show. I'm grouping you with Malik Yoba and Kevin Hart. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. And you need not decide that you're going to, well, I'm open to a rebuttal. That's what this lazy girl told me. How are we going to have a rebuttal when I went to the school? I'll say it again for those of you in doubt. You can't tell me about Paul Quinn because you can't tell me about Highland Hills. For those of you in doubt, already. I don't understand why we don't get support as alumni when we say something's wrong here. The reason I'm willing to bear this burden and call Mike Sorrell out is because when you don't say anything, it continues to happen. It fosters, it festers, it is a cancer. They're losing good professors. People are scared to death to say something. Dexter is the dean. And when I told him I was not going to do the college fair, HBCU college fair, he didn't even ask why. Even though I said I have some information that's very concerned. They don't care. And they don't care to have the conversation because they're already fully aware. They already know what the problems are. And the problem is Mike Sorrell. I would invite Mike Sorrell to come on this little old show. This little old show where I've been nominated as best female host. Come on this little old show. I'm sure you say, it's a little pissant show and I can't be bothered. We might be right. Few thousand followers, here. Facebook just sent me the analytics and said, last month, over the month, we had like 20 some odd hours of viewing. Little old show. The analytics from Fishbowl that we get each week said that we had almost 10,000 people listen last week. This is just a little old show. But you ought to come here and set the record straight. So it's an open invitation. It's an open invitation for anybody that wants to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Because people are not going to Paul Quinn. 2 people that are very close to me, my sorority sisters, we would call them big sisters. Both of their children graduated this year. Neither one of them even considered Paul Quinn. And both of them are Paul Quinn alums. I can name several other people who graduated from Paul Quinn but not send their children there. But they would want to tell me I'm wrong for saying this publicly. I'm not trying to hurt the school. I'm trying to help it. We need to rid ourselves of Mike Sorrell. The problem is our hands are tied to do that. We don't have the same opportunities and abilities that other schools have. We don't vote on our board. We don't have an opportunity to go to the board meetings. And when you do speak out, Mike Sorrell has a way of trying to get rid of you. Mike Sorrell is in it for himself. I told you. P.D. Combs and the Suge Knight of HBCU. He has no less held someone, proverbially speaking, because somebody gonna say, no, how you do that? I'm simply using a metaphor. Held Vanilla Ice's legs over the legs to get the contract signed. That is how Mike Sorrell runs the school. You don't have an opportunity to speak out. If you do, he gets rid of you. There have been dozens of people who have given tons of money to the school that no longer do that. Now, they won't say why. They just don't do it. And it would be a little tacky to do that. But what we need is someone who's going to come in and build this school, build actual academic programs that are not so antiquated that nobody wants to go there. You would say, well, you have a basketball team. That's true. And we're not the only HBCU that doesn't have a football team. I said that before. And Paul Quinn is a winning basketball team. This is more than just he got rid of a garden that some idiot thought was world renowned. I still can't get over that, Shanika, because it's world renowned. Who in the world is talking about it, child? There's no agricultural program. There's no programs that are really up to date. The technology, I mean, we have to be honest to fix it. But I think the alumni needs to stop turning a blind eye. Those of you that are upset, you need to start speaking up. We need to say something because I don't believe that Mike Sorrell wants to be the president of an HBCU. I think he wants to be the president of a college or a university to springboard him to the trajectory that he ultimately wants. See, you all don't remember, what was it, 2 years ago when they were shopping him around and put his name in the Dallas Morning News and wanted to kind of fill us out to see if we would support him in being governor. We don't support him in being president of a college.
Governor.
Then he was talked about for mayor for a little while, and that didn't pop off either. Because people don't like what he's doing to the school. I have had the alphas, the kappas, the AKAs all tell me one of the worst experiences they ever had was working with him to either bring that particular fraternal or sorority chapter back on campus or trying to maintain it. It's been one of the worst experiences. Had someone confide in me and told me, I said, well, what does he do? He said, anything to stop him. The alpha said the same thing, so is the kappa. A kappa told me, who is now a dean at Texas College, I ain't gonna call his name because he didn't tell me I could. I'm just gonna get a Paul Quinn people that. But he is a son of the school. We got a lot of problems at Paul Quinn, and I want to fix it. But I welcome Mike Sorrell to come on this little old show and let these 10,000 people listen to you and these other 2,000 or so that come on Facebook, and then how many I got as followers on my page. I don't know. We might could get to 15,000 people. Y'all help me. Y'all start telling the school, tell them to come on this show and let's talk about it. It won't. You know what? Just the facts, man. Just the facts. That's all I want, to be honest and be truthful. All right, I told you I only spent 30 minutes on it because I know everybody didn't go to Pop Quinn. Some people don't keep it. Those of you in Dallas should, and those of you who believe in your HBCU experience, beware of the PWI presidents. This is Coy with your black tea sip. We sip power to pour truth. I hope I did that for you today. I hope you pass this along and share. Those of you that are upset, well, tell me how you feel. I ain't never scared. All right. I had Shanika with me today. She disagreed with me about some things, but that's why she's my friend. I love her dearly. I'm not afraid of a disagreement. I'm afraid of stupidity. That's what I will not stand for. All right. We're going to do it again next week. Diamond, pearls, and Jerry curls. Y'all stay black, stay powerful. We'll do it one more time. Already. Great. You love me out?
No, I was just reading it.
Yeah,